Hey guys, hey, PJ Crooked in the hoose. Good to see you guys. Not actually PJ Crooked, it's PJ Crooked Shanks, but who's counting and spelling? I'm joking. PJ Crooked Shank, and it was good to see you guys when it goes out as a premiere, obviously. Yeah, I just thought I'm not doing I wasn't doing a live. It's 1:35 in the morning for me. I'm not doing a live. I come across a Russell Brand video made by Interesting Stuff from around the world. This dude here, interesting stuff around the world. Not interesting stuff from around the world. He's only been going since 2021, but I've been subbed to him for a little while, I think. No, sorry, I've been watching him a little while, and I subbed him today. Sorry, I wasn't subbed to him for a little while. I've been watching a little while. Didn't realize I wasn't subbed, and subbed him today when I realized. But yeah, he's done this video here about Russell Brand 5 hours ago, so I thought I'd react to that. It's a 43-minute video, so I better get to it. Really, it's going to take about an hour or so. I didn't want to go live, so I thought I'd just do a reaction video. But it's quite a long video, so I'll just react to it as little as I possibly can. I'll let the guy do the storytelling, the guy whose channel it is. He's an English dude. You'll hear by his accent, but he seems to know what he's talking about. And Russell Brand, obviously, when I was kind of teenager into young man up in Scotland and that sometimes, when he was on Big Brother's Little Brother, he was on Talk TV back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and he was always talking about his dinkle, like his willy, his penis sort of thing. He used to talk like that, and everyone just wants to see my dinkle. And he used to talk like that kind of comedy where he'd talk about sexual things as a kind of joke rather than a talking point, but talk about sex like a joke, you know what I mean? That type of thing. But he seems to have transformed on the internet lately in these later 2000s to some kind of guru, you know what I mean? Some kind of guru where he appreciates all religions, more or less, or some religions. He appreciates parts of religion, like he likes what Jesus preaches, he likes what Buddha says, I don't know, things like that. But he's kind of getting all religions and mashing them up together, which is not a good thing. It sounds a bit like coexist to me, like a one world thing, a one world religion, something like the Bible kind of predicts. So, but yeah, there's the channel. I will just get on with the video and react to it. I will put the link in the description for that channel. Right, let's just get the video up and we'll react to it. Otherwise, it's going to take forever. And I've already took 3 minutes odd. So here we go. Let's do it. Oh, let's get rid of that one first. Let's do that. And let's go. And here we go.
Interesting.
I am a person that
I love that intro. Interesting. And you'll see that is the guy's voice. But this, as everyone will know, is Russell Brand. Here we go.
very much respects the idea of consent. And I pray that over the coming months, when I participate with full volition and total cooperation in any legal...
I would hope that everybody would be in agreement with you need consent. Yes, absolutely. Depending on what you're talking about, obviously.
inquiry, we'll get to see how the justice system operates in the United Kingdom.
He's on about the justice system, okay? At that point.
Russell Brand.
Oh, I just seen it. I haven't seen this video, by the way. I just come across it. But I just noticed there that there was a little pic of Jimmy Savile. I wonder if you had dealings with Jimmy Savile, old Russell Brand. Jimmy Savile is not someone we trust. here in the UK. Once upon a time, he was trusted, but people always knew what he was. People know what he is now. Well, he's dead now, but people know what he was. Horrible, horrible man. Into all sorts of perversions. I don't need to name him, otherwise YouTube would probably ban me if I did. But there you go. Let's carry on.
Hello everyone, how are you doing? You alright? Today we'll be taking a look at the many faces of Russell Brand and investigating his convenient transformation from hedonistic clown obsessed with the pleasures of the flesh to
Say hedonistic clown obsessed with the pleasures of the flesh. Always on about his dinkle, meaning downstairs. Might even get to hear a clip of it. I don't know. But yes, he was very carnal. He was very carnal talking back in the late 90s, early 2000s. That.
styled guru facing serious prison time, his strange interactions with P. Diddy and Jimmy Savile, plus a lifetime of chaos and degeneracy.
I heard that. So he did have dealings with Jimmy Savile as well as P. Diddy. Another one we've been talking about. Wow. Okay. Not good. Mr. Brand, not good.
Let's start at the beginning. Russell Edward Brand was born to a relatively poor family in Essex, England on the 4th of June 1975.
So that goes to show why he talks like this and talks about his dingle, because he's from Essex, mate. Only joking, guys. People from Essex, man, listen, they get tired with being dumb because of the way they talk and all that, and because people like Joey Essex is from there, and he's a bit green behind the ears and all that, you know, a bit wet behind the ears and a bit green, sorry, and a bit on the lacking on the intellectual side. But that doesn't mean saying all people from Essex are like that just because of silly accent, because not a silly accent, but because of their perceptions of their silly accent. You know what I mean? When it's not, just the way they talk, man.
Father left home when he was just 6 months old, leaving Russell with a sense of duty to look after his mother and be the man of the house. When he was 8 years old, his mother was diagnosed with cancer multiple times, which meant that Russell had to live with relatives for a lot of his childhood, due to his mother needing to get...
Well, that always affects people. That could always play a part in it. Trauma from childhood, his mum had cancer. It's not a good thing. If you lost that, then yeah, it can affect people from a start point of view, before they become adults. You know, sometimes you don't think it's affecting you, and then you realize later on in life something did affect you.
Treatment. This unfortunate start in life had a big impact on Russell, who describes this period as being isolating. He was an outsider moving from temporary home to temporary home, with this lost feeling only being exacerbated when he was abused by one of his school tutors, with him...
Not good. I hate to hear people getting abused of any sort, but I think we can all relate. Well, not us all maybe, but a lot of us can relate. It's being a child, we often felt like we were the black sheep of the family, or the odd one out within society, or within your friends, or at school, or something like that, or not quite fitting in. I think lots of us have gone through that, not quite fitting in, or not quite feeling like you fit in.
Later linking this trauma to his issues with intimacy and addiction.
Actually weird seeing him with that long hair. Whoa, he actually got quite big at one point. I did not know that. Wow.
At the age of 14, he developed an eating disorder characterized by periods of binge eating, then vomiting, then fasting, which he used as a way of exerting some
bulimic
form of control over his spiraling existence. Brand was a sensitive, imaginative child with a flair for performance, but was prone to mood swings and intense emotions. He was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and later identified as having bipolar
ADHD. Yeah, it's one of them things when I was a kid, nobody ever got diagnosed with it. You never heard of it until I was an adult. And then all of a sudden, when I was a kid, it was just, he's a bit too hyperactive, or he's had too much sugar. Now, later on in life, they find out there's such things as ADHD. So when I was a kid, things like that were not really diagnosed, maybe in special circumstances, but it was few and far between. Now it seems to be more like, yeah, that guy's got ADHD. that PTSD, you know, this, that, you know. It was not as widely diagnosed back when I was a kid.
Bipolar disorder, which was both a blessing and a curse for him. This erratic nature would be channeled into his theatrical tendencies. At the age of 15, he appeared in a school production of Bugsy Malone. But even with this creative avenue to explore, he still felt like an alien in his own culture, something different to what he saw around him. So he set his mind on becoming famous, as he felt that this was the path to power, value, and connection.
Well, he certainly did become famous. Whether it was a path to power, value, and that, I mean, maybe a bit of power. He certainly maybe had a bit of that within media or Hollywood or whatever. I don't know. But when it comes to value, nothing when it comes to your soul. You know, there's no value in wanting to be famous or rich, because you usually want it for the wrong reasons, to be noticed, for pride, arrogance. Anyway, let's carry on.
He was sadly missing in his life. Now 16 years old, he left home due to a disagreement with his mother's new boyfriend and joined a group of lost boys which he hoped would offer the tribe that he longed for. He started to smoke cannabis.
I know that one. Falling out with the parents' new partner. I know that one very well. Never got on with my dad's new partner. Got on with my mum's new partner to a certain extent, but you always have some kind of thing in your heart against them.
In an effort to fit in with the older boys, but would sometimes smoke too much, become paranoid and hide in a bush for hours, convinced that he was being chased. He then moved on to taking LSD and ecstasy. Russell's relationship with his
And if you take that stuff religiously, LSD and ecstasy, it will mess up your head after a while.
father was an unusual one, with him claiming that he was a distant figure and the interactions between them both was awkward and inappropriate. One time when he was just 16, his father took him on holiday to Thailand and brought him a lady of the night. Then got two for himself, the greedy bugger. When Russell left school,
Wow. His dad went and took him and got him a lady of the night, and then he went and got another two. Greedy person.
he attended an academy for theatre arts, with his fees being funded by Essex County Council. But after just 1 year, he was expelled from the academy for using illegal drugs and his poor attendance record. But this didn't dampen his lust for fame, and soon he was appearing as an extra on British TV shows such as The Bill or a children's show called Mud. His lust for...
Wow. Now, I used to watch The Bill. You definitely used to watch The Bill. I didn't realise it was on that. The first thing I ever remember him on was being what do you call him? A commentator. It's like talk show, a host on Big Brother's Little Brother. He was a host in Big Brother's Little Brother, talking and asking. It was comedy kind of. It was a comedy show after the people at home had seen Big Brother on a Friday night or whatever. You'd see Big Brother's Little Brother, which was a program after Big Brother, with a bit of comedy and ex-contestants and stuff like that, where Russell Brand would ask them questions and get the comedy in and stuff like that, and get all mad-headed with them, you know what I mean, while they had a drink and stuff like that.
Hedonistic pleasure was equally as strong, so he began to use crack cocaine and heroin.
You know about hedonism, that's for sure. Even when I was a drug addict, even though I was down and out, I suppose it's hedonistic in a way, because you want that fix and you want it now for self-gratification, even though it's to make you better as well at that point.
With him describing crack as making him feel like a king for 10 minutes, then a rat for the rest of the day, and comparing heroin to being...
And it does. You feel good when you're on something like crack, because it's short-lived. You feel, oh, brilliant, but when you're coming out, it's like, oh, I feel really bad for doing that. Whereas heroin is longer-lasting, so you don't feel that, that it come down of, oh, I feel like a rat for taking that. But with likes of crack, you do, because it's so short-lived. It's like a big Highland straight down, you know?
Wrapped in love, but it was a love that would kill you. His addictions would soon consume him in a haze of living in squalid homes, selling his possessions and stealing his mother's items to fund his...
I really can't imagine Russell Brand living in squalid homes. It's Crazy thinking about it.
His insatiable thirst for more. This unquenchable desire led him to work as a postman so that he could meet single women and open letters to steal the money that was inside.
So I wonder if he said that as a joke in one of his pieces one day. Oh, I only became a postman to meet single women and get them into bed or whatever. I wonder if he said that as a joke and it actually stuck. It wouldn't surprise me, but he probably meant it. He probably meant it at the same time.
His 20s were dominated by his heroin addiction, which he describes as a great big smacky cuddle. This brown poison.
See, there you go, brown poison. That's the kind that we used to get over here. Well, if you want to put it in few words, yeah, I suppose you could. Smacky cuddle, orange glow around about you, big hug, warm hug. In few words, I suppose you could put it that way.
Embrace would take its toll on Brand, who developed abscesses from injecting, lost weight and faced multiple overdoses. He was also getting in trouble.
I never had abscesses or anything like that, but yes, I was an injector. Yeah, absolutely did all that. Now, I didn't know Russell Brand went that far. I knew he was an addict, but I didn't know he was an injector. So I didn't know we had that in common. But yeah, I didn't get abscess or anything like that. I was always lucky that way. But yeah, I know what it's like to use a pen each and every day, umpteen times a day, you know, and to go without it too. Horrible.
Trouble with the law, being arrested in a raid at his friend's home where he is found with drugs on him. Then a few weeks later he was
So I can't sympathise and empathise with him there.
arrested again while walking down the street with drugs. In total, he was
And that's because of my experience.
arrested 12 different times. Despite his problems, he still had natural charisma which propelled him forward onto the stand-up comedy circuit, but would often perform under the influence of heroin, slur his words, collapse on stage and get heckled by the audience. The year 2000
But people might, I mean, you got heckled by the audience, said that there, but I guarantee some people would have thought that was part of the act and laughed at it. You know what I mean?
was a big turning point for him as he reached 4th place in a stand-up comedy competition. Although he didn't win, he did meet his agent here, so started to get more work in show business, going on to debut at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. He also got a job presenting a show on MTV UK where he travels around nightclubs in Britain and Ibiza showing off the nightlife in his whimsical way, though he was sadly fired from.
See, like I said, the first thing I ever seen him on was Big Brother's Little Brother. But I maybe did catch him on little clips of stuff like that beforehand. I just didn't recognize who he was, you know. But I mean, he's certainly, I mean, since Big Brother and that, I mean, he's been in movies in Hollywood now, you know. But now he's big on YouTube and that, and now he's some kind of guru who advocates for every single blooming religion there is and cult there is, I think.
From this job when he turned up to work dressed as Osama bin Laden the day after September the 11th. Plus,
I mean, yeah, I mean, I've got my feelings on 9/11. Look, we're not going to go into that. 9/11 wasn't the 9/11 that everybody thinks it was. The main narrative, anyway. That's not it. But considering back then, at that time, people would have thought it was. That is very insensitive and dangerous thing to do. Insensitive and dangerous. Definitely. Considering the time that he did it. Now we know more about it. That's a different thing. But considering that time there, that would have been a naughty thing to do.
he brought his drug dealer to the MTV studios, which didn't help. Russell Brand's chaos was less rebellion and more self-sabotage, but he now had his toe in the door of showbiz.
Well, when you're on drugs, you don't care about things like that. Look, if you've got a job to do and you're a functioning drug addict, so obviously it was because he was working that, and he needs his fix, he's not going to care that he's bringing his dealer to his place of work. He has to get that fix. He doesn't care. So, I mean, a lot of people will think it is, oh, it's so irrational doing that. Of course, looking through normal eyes, but looking through drug-addicted eyes and acting through drug-addicted body and mind, then it's not. It's not. You're going to do what it takes to get it.
And later that year, he starred in a documentary program where he looked at cultural taboos, with him being drunk or on heroin during most of the filming. He then started to host an indie rock show on a local...
Now I see these, they ring a bell. Well, he's got a bit more chubbier cheeks, but I'm not too sure still.
London...
I mean, it's certainly the 90s. I can see the Ford Escort there, 90s style. You can tell by the type of film, the type of video it is. It's kind of 90s, late 90s, whatever. I probably did see him in more. It's just I mainly remember him for Big Brother's Little Brother
radio station, but was sacked from this job when he read out adult material live on the air on his daytime slot. The next big turning point in his life...
Why would you do that if you want to keep a job? He just wanted to be so edgy back then, I bet you. Just to get his face out there. You know what I mean? Maybe he was ahead of the time. Came
in 2002 when he was arrested for doing heroin in the...
It's kind of what people do for clout nowadays on the internet.
Toilet during a Christmas party. After this, his agent arranged for him to go into rehab, where Russell started on the 12-step program, giving him a focus on a divine higher power than himself. And
12-step, yeah, higher power. It was based in Christian principles, but I've got a problem with a God of your own understanding. Some people pray to a person when it comes to 12 steps. Some people pray to a bike. Anything that helps them get through it, they class as their God. No. It shouldn't be like that. It was based on Christian principles. It should have continued that way. So, yeah, I'm not a big advocate of 12 steps now. But it's up to people. That's up to people.
Helping him to break his addiction to Class A drugs and replace it with Eastern religions like Buddhism and transcendental meditation. He was now free from the brown...
But he does things like that, right? Fine, okay, you do that. But then you take things like Christianity and Islam and Judaism and you know what I mean, Catholicism and stuff like that into it and mix it all together and make it something, especially when a lot of them contradict the other, you know.
Shackles that bound him and ready to unleash himself upon an unready world.
Star is Born.
In 2004, Russell Brand got his big break when he became the host of Big Brother's Big Mouth, which was a spin-off of the massively successful...
I thought it was Big Brother's Little Brother, Big Brother's Big Mouth. I'm sure he was in something called Big Brother's Little Brother as well. But this is when I remember him. This is the time that I'm talking about.
Voyeuristic reality TV.
Maybe the year after it got called Big Brother's Little Brother or something like that.
Show Big Brother. Russell was an instant hit with fans. The mix of his unique theatrical speech patterns, part jester, part philosopher speaking truth to power, and his half...
Just because everyone wants to see my dingle! Yeah. He was very eccentric.
Rasputin, half Charles Manson aesthetic were a breath of fresh air on British television.
That's a good description. That's a good caricature of him. Absolutely.
Soon he was being asked to appear on sitcoms and launched his first nationwide comedy tour called Shame, which drew upon embarrassing incidents in his life. He also returned to MTV, where he hosted a chat show interviewing stars like Tom Cruise and Uma Thurman. He was given a radio show on BBC Radio 2 which regularly drew 400,000 listeners, and he got his own...
And as well, back then, as well as being always talking about his dinkle, his penis, he was also very effeminate as well, in a way, the way he'd flounce about. You know what I mean? It was a very camp is the way of putting it, but not gay, allegedly. Oh well.
TV show with the imaginatively named The Russell Brand Show. He was the man of the moment, the famous star that he had always dreamed of being, a diamond in the rough that came good in the end.
You got there, Russell. You got there. Did you enjoy it?
And he was celebrated for being a womanizing ex-junkie who was sometimes thoughtful, sometimes funny, but always larger than life.
Hey, come on, just get on the horse, show it you're the boss, show it you're the boss. Am I the boss? He goes horse riding every day, I've only been once.
It wasn't all good though, and even at this early stage of his career, problems with his conduct were starting to be...
I'm actually surprised he didn't talk about his dinkle.
He noticed, with pop star Danny Minogue saying in an interview that he was a bit of a vile predator who wouldn't take no for an answer.
I do remember Danny Minogue saying that. I do remember that coming out or being said at the time. I do remember that.
But this was overlooked by everyone at the time, as he was the goose that was laying the golden, somewhat grubby egg. In 2007, he left Big Brother's Big Mouth and thanked the producers of the show for taking the risk of employing an ex-junkie twerp.
Big Brother's Little Brother must have been a newer version of Big Brother's Big Mouth then. So yeah, I was all on the right lines. I just got the wrong name. But there was something called Big Brother's Little Brother.
He was now on his way to bigger and better things. He launched his second nationwide comedy tour, hosted the Brit Awards, performed for the Queen at
comedy-wise, I don't think he's not. In a way, I mean, he could be funny, but it's a kind of comedy you'd get sickened with, and it becomes a bit cringe.
Royal Variety Show, starred in a BBC documentary called On the Road, and returned to Channel 4 with his hit show Ponderland. He was now everywhere in British media. Love him or hate him, there was no escape from his over-the-top cartoonish persona. He had a few bit parts on TV shows and movies.
He was definitely a caricature of himself, I suppose. He probably elaborated himself to make himself a caricature of himself, if that's not contradiction.
But his big break in this department came when he appeared on the film St. Trinians, where he played a wheeler-dealer school caretaker.
He played himself. He just sounded like himself in that.
He also released a best-selling book titled My Bookie Wook, which
I think it was Get Me to the Greek as well. Get Me to the Greek. I think that was a movie he was in as well.
The internet tells me is listed as the 89th best-selling book in British history. Oh, how my once glorious land has fallen. An odd detail from this time period is that he interviewed the infamous Jimmy Savile on his BBC Radio 2 show. In this interview,
Right, so he wasn't right. So he didn't have any dealings with Jimmy Savile, as in he was his friend, but he interviewed Jimmy Savile, and this was obviously well before it came out, because it didn't really come out fully until after he'd gone. So yeah, okay. But even Louis Theroux became kind of friendly with Jimmy Savile after interviewing him, and he felt bad for that friendship after he found out what he was. Yeah.
Jimmy claims to be sitting with a beautiful young lady who must remain secret. Then Brand says that he would like to meet him in real life sometime, to which Savile says that he will only meet him if he brings his sister along. But sadly, Russell didn't have a sister, so offers up.
But that's the thing. See, I mean, I'm not talking about Russell Brand now, but with the Mr. Savile there, I don't know why I'm calling him Mr. He actually got knighted. He got his knightship got taken away from him posthumously, but saying things like that. He always did say things like that. He always did. But he was untouchable. Everybody supported him. Everybody defended him. You know what I mean? No, even knowing what he was. I mean, it's more public now. It's more, people know more about it now. But there was people that knew back then. John Lydon called it out back in the day. Mr. Savile, James Savile, you are from the devil. A horrible man. I'm sorry, a horrible man. Disgusting. He's abominable. I'm not talking about Russell Brand, yeah? I'm talking about Jimmy Savile.
His female assistant naked to Jimmy Savile. This was all played off as a joke at the time, and no one really paid much attention to this interaction, but this all takes a much more sinister undertone now, given what we know about Jimmy Savile and the things that are alleged against Russell.
And I'm sitting here with a beautiful lady who can't believe that I'm talking to the one and only, supposedly, Russell Brand.
See, looking at him and seeing him like that is just so cringe. Just so cringe just to even hear him and see him now. And he used to have a show called Jim Will Fix It, which was literally for children. Anyway, enough of that.
Very nice to meet you one day, Mr. Jimmy Savile, just,
well, if you've got a sister, you could meet me by bringing her along.
I mean, I haven't...
See? And, you know, saying things like that, and it was just like, yeah, Mr. Jimmy Savile, he says things like that. No, people should have known.
haven't got any sisters,
I
but
don't usually meet
No, things should have been done, should I say? Not people should have known, because people knew.
fellas, but if you've got a sister, that's okay.
I've got a personal assistant called Marsha, and part of her job description is that anyone I demand she greets, meets, massages, she has to do it. She's very attractive, Jimmy.
Well, that's a good start.
What kind
Good
of...
start. You could send her along to do some research.
Would you like her to wear anything in particular, Sir Jimmy?
I'd actually prefer her to wear nothing.
I knew he was going to say that. Nah, right, let's zap it forward. I'm sick of Jimmy. Let's zap it forward a bit. I don't. Yeah, enough of Jimmy.
And rumours of him having a short relationship with Peaches Geldof when she was 17 and he was 31. These rumours were not helped when her father, Bob Geldof...
Well, there's a big difference. I mean, it's not being 17. I mean, the legal age here is 16. She was 17, so it's not illegal, but there's a difference between illegality and bloody morality. Two different things. Just because it's legal doesn't make it moral.
Geldof insulted Russell while receiving a trophy at the NME Awards.
Well, Geldof.
Russell Brand, what a...
Yeah, he doesn't. They obviously doesn't like him because Peaches Geldof is his daughter, you know, and it was Peaches that made the accusation. Oh, it was. Sorry, not Peaches made the accusation. It was Peaches he was meant to have been with.
In 2008, while doing a...
You could tell that wasn't acting. That was real. That was real. He definitely had that grudge against him, and Russell felt a bit awkward.
A live show in Northampton, Russell made a hoax call to the police saying that he had just seen a man responsible for a number of indecent assaults. This event obviously drew criticism, with the Guardian newspaper saying that this show...
Don't even do that as a joke. It's not funny. I mean, even for a teenager to do it, someone a bit more sensible of his own age would say, look, you don't do things like that. But for grown men to do it as well, don't be pulling pranks like that.
Catastrophically poor judgment. The police decided not to prosecute him but discouraged him from doing it again. Russell later apologised for this hoax call. This was all quickly forgotten as the business that he was in didn't just tolerate it, it thrived on it. Mr. Brand was big news in Britain but still unknown.
I suppose he was one of the original trolls. Original trolls, like people who used to... Dennis the Penis, who used to troll stars, A-list stars on things like the Grammys, the Oscars and stuff like that. Dennis the Penis, he'd go out there and interview them and joke at their expense and stuff like that. Troll and saying stupid things live on TV and that. So original trolls. And now you got your cheap trolls on YouTube that just are obsessed with us at every blooming corner. Us flat earthers, should I say.
In America, so drew skepticism when he was chosen to host the MTV Music Awards in the USA. During his time hosting the awards, he implored the audience to vote for Barack Obama, insulted the...
No doubt. Wow.
The then President George W. Bush, compared Britney Spears to Jesus, and made rude comments about one of the Jonas...
Wow, I mean, that's something you shouldn't ever do. Compare Britney Spears to Jesus, especially, I mean, yeah, look, she's gone through a lot, absolutely, but she knew the business she was getting into, I think. I mean, I know her parents had a lot to do with it and all that, but come on, comparing a person to Jesus, especially knowing there's a lot of believers out there, is kind of blasphemy, Russell. And I think with your study in religiosity, you should know that.
brothers, who was 16 years old at the time, with Russell implying that he had intercourse with the young man. All this didn't go down too well with the American viewers, and he started to get death threats, plus celebrities like Paris Hilton speaking out against him. But Russell was a man of controversy, knowing the power that it holds over the media, and all of this outrage was great for ratings, with him getting 20% more viewers than the year before. So he was asked to host it again the following year, which gave the awards show the highest ratings it had had since 2004. Brand wasn't a rebel storming the gates.
All about ratings. All about ratings. All about how many people watch, how many people turned over and watched. The same as now on the internet. About clicks and views. How many shared it, you know? Same as back in the TV Times. It's a bloody magazine up in the UK, I mean. TV Times. But, you know, still about the same thing. Clicks and views. Clicks and views now, turn over the channel and views then.
But a court jester, his anti-establishment routine, draped in flirtatious charm, was catnip for a media that craves spectacle over substance, and an entertainment industry that craves money over morals. So he now had his toe in the door of American show business and was more than willing to walk through it.
The Bright Lights.
Russell's first big Hollywood movie was his part in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where he played pretty much himself, a flamboyant, verbose rock star named Aldous.
Well, that's I did say that with the last movie, when he was in St. Trinian's, we were talking about, he played himself pretty much, just with a different name. I think he just plays that in every film he's in, because that's his accent, that's his character, and he can't really act. He just has to play himself.
Snow. This film was a hit and his character was much loved, so offers started to flood in for Russell to appear in more movies, with him starring in the Disney movie Bedtime Stories alongside Adam Sandler later that year. Back in Britain, he was still hosting his BBC Radio 2 show, which would get him into hot water when him and his friend Jonathan Ross broadcast a series of lewd phone.
Jonathan Ross, who's still on TV nowadays. He's getting on a bit now as well, but I'm still sure he's on TV nowadays. Not as prolifically as he used to be, but I'd say he's still on there.
Messages that they left to a 78-year-old actor named Andrew Sachs, who is best known for his role as Manuel in the comedy show 40 Towers. Brand had briefly had a
Funny dude.
relationship with Andrew's granddaughter, but arranged to do an interview with the actor on his show, but was sadly unable to reach him on the phone, so instead left him 4 voice messages on his answer machine. On the first message, Brand joked about both of them appearing on the TV show The Bill, but was interrupted by Jonathan Ross, who shouted,
"Just notice behind him there, behind Russell Brand there, is Susan Boyle. The one with it right behind Russell Brand is a lady with like her hair curly and puffed out of it. That's Susan Boyle. She won the Britain's Got Talent. It's either the X Factor or Britain's Got Talent at one point. And Simon Cowell looked at her. This is when it was actually a talent contest. Simon Cowell looked at her and thought, "Oh, what we got here." And when she opened her mouth and all that came out was beauty, he could not believe it. But that's when the show was about talent. Now it's about placing people in the industry. But yeah, that's Susan Boyle behind him.
"He f***ed your granddaughter." The next 3 messages were the pair apologising for this outburst, then mocking the 78-year-old actor, with Brand confirming that it was consensual and she wasn't menstrual, and Ross asking if he could marry her. Newspaper The Daily Mail then ran the story highlighting that it was in bad taste, and Brand...
I love this guy, how this guy presents stuff, interesting stuff from around the world. He's just got what he's got on the screen. He narrates it, and just the way he flows, the way he talks, it's not monotone or anything. It's not boring. It hits you straight. It gets you easy. It's easy to understand. It's in layman's terms. Brilliant. I like how he does it.
Apologised on his radio show, but the apology mainly focused on attacking the Daily Mail supporting the Third Reich in the Second World War, and played down...
Ooh, that's never a good idea. Never a good idea supporting the Third Reich.
down his prank call when compared to this outrage. Andrew Sachs then made a complaint to the BBC and confirmed that he didn't give permission for these calls to be broadcast. This event then snowballed, getting bigger and bigger, with many stories being printed in the press about what an outrage this was, and it even became international news. In total, the BBC received over 40,000.
It usually does become international news, even if it's about an actor over in the UK. Of course, it's got to become international news because it's all Hollywood. It's all a stage.
Complaints, making it the third most complained about thing in their history. There was such a media storm over this that it eclipsed news of the 2008 financial crash and the American presidential election, and even the Prime Minister of Britain was forced to address it, with him being quoted to say that the incident was clearly inappropriate and unacceptable. Members of Parliament called for the pair to be sacked from the BBC, and Andrew's granddaughter stated that she was considering making a formal complaint to the police. Brand and Ross were both suspended, with Russell and other
Andrew, as in Prince Andrew, who's now not in line for the crown anymore because of what he did back in the day.
members of the production team then resigning. This event created a bit of a divide, with some people in the entertainment industry coming out in support of Brand and Ross, and others claiming that the Prime Minister and members of Parliament should really be focusing on more important issues like the ongoing 2008 financial crash, which is fair enough, I guess. The story did somewhat seem like bread and circuses to keep the plebs distracted from the real problems, but distracted they were, and fans started to protest outside of the BBC in support of Brand, while others were out for his blood. The granddaughter was quoted to say this about the pair's suspension from the BBC: "I'm thrilled because justice has been done. It's despicable. Calling me that in public, not only does it damage my relationship with my granddad, but it could permanently damage my life as well." She was part of a gothic burlesque group at the time that called themselves Satanic
Yes, that looks really good, doesn't it? That looks brilliant. You know, Satanic Sligots Extreme. Yeah, really nice name. Call yourself, and you're going on about IR, integrity, stuff like that. What? But you call yourself that? Oh, that's lovely. That is so lovely.
Dream. She later went on to team up with the singer Adam Ant and wrote 2 songs about the incident.
No, Adam Ant I used to like. Stand and deliver your money or your life. Used to love Adam Ant, but yeah, I suppose there's a lot of these singers I used to love back in the 80s and that, and they've got really kind of subversive views, lefty views, and woke kind of views nowadays. Madness.
And claimed that her grandfather didn't speak to her for 8 years, and that this all made his alcohol and drug problems worse. On a side note, the pair made up 10 years later when Brand paid for her to go to rehab as a way of saying sorry. On another side note, between 2006 and 2008, the BBC received 5 complaints from women about Brand's behaviour towards them, but didn't act on these complaints. Funny how these things slip through the cracks when you're a star at the BBC, isn't it? Russell was now pretty much free from any work obligations that he once had in Britain, so he could take his womanizing ways.
Well, he would be now. He's big in the old YouTube and places like that, you know, probably in every platform, Instagram, Twitch, whatever, you know, X, whatever it's called now, all over the place. And obviously because he was on mainstream before, people know him, and now he's got like loads of different views about different religions and all that kind of stuff. He's meant to be like some kind of guru of some sort, an influencer to people. Yeah, he doesn't need the BBC anyway. But yeah, there you go.
To the USA, and that's what he did, appearing on a flurry of TV chat shows with him flirting with the female hosts while he spoke about his anti-establishment.
Now, why would you even bother flirting with Ellen? She's a lesbian. Did you not know that? So.
Ideas of revolution and taxing the mega rich to pay for social programs.
It's called revolution, Whoopi, right? Because that Albert Einstein, who if nothing else was clever, said you can't change a system using the thinking that created it.
I beg to differ. He might have been a clever dude, but he wasn't. Well, he might have been a smart dude, but he wasn't very clever. I mean, come on, space time. Come on.
That means if you want to change things, you have to look at alternative ways of thinking. The way things are at the moment, the people that benefit from it don't want it to change. They are happy with it the way it is. That's why things like ecological disaster, economic inequality, global meltdown and war are largely ignored because they are serving the
Global meltdown. There'll be wars and rumors of wars. No such thing as a globe. It's a flat earth. You'd think someone like Russell would be a flat earther, but no. He's probably more of a gatekeeper. Seems to be talking about truthful things out there, putting out certain truths, but gatekeeping the actual biggies.
Purpose of the people that are in control. If you want change to come, it will not come from them. I know that within you there is a limitless divine beauty, and within me.
You do not want change to come, it will not come from men. I agree with that to a certain degree. But it has to, if there's any change to come, yes, it'll be spiritually led by God, but He used man to do it. So it would still come from man. If there was some kind of change.
As well. And if I connect with that, then we'll be okay. And you as well. And Chris, for God's sake.
Give it. He's good for everybody.
Everybody's beautiful.
They all just want to get it on with each other. Perverted.
Now, Russ, I'm nervous to ask this, but you did say at the start of the year that you were considering attempting celibacy. Is that something that you have continued with?
I'm attempting celibacy. If he did do it, it would be for some kind of mad kind of spiritual experience that stems from some kind of cult, from a mystical kind of cult from of the Middle East or something. I don't know, you know. But that's what he'll be doing it for. He won't be doing it for anything good, really. He'll be doing it for some kind of spiritual awakening or an experience.
What time do you finish work?
So that's
In
a no then.
2009, he recorded a special for Comedy Central, and later that year he launched a tour of Britain, the USA and Australia. Russell was now getting more and more into politics, with him being part of a celebrity letter to the independent newspaper to voice his discontent with Israel's treatment of the people of Gaza, in which he is quoted to condemn the cruel and massive loss of life of the citizens of Gaza. The next thing of note is when P. Diddy posted a video with Russell on a private jet on
All I'm saying, war is terrible and all that stuff, but all the videos you see on the news and stuff like that, they're not all real. They're not all real.
their way to Las Vegas, which the rap star called...
Not making any claims about war and why and if it happens and all that. Or is it happening? Not making any claims about that. I'm just saying, the claim I'm making is all the videos that you see on the news are not necessarily true. Some of them are set up, they're faked.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Hey, yo, what's up, y'all? We are on the plane
I
right
wonder who that be. Oh, is that guy that's been caught now? Ooh, that nice dude. What's his name? He used to help all the people out with their music careers. You know, help them along and not do anything perverted at all, or cultish, or evil. Oh, is that him? Huh. Yeah, right.
now. On our way to Vegas. It's called...
At the minute, you're not on your way to Vegas right now, are you? You're on your way to over the Diddy line. You're coming over the Diddy line because of where you're at. You've got to be behind the Diddy line to be safe. You're over the Diddy line, Diddy. People will know what I'm talking about. Don't worry.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
During the course of the video, the
What happens over the Diddy line stays over the Diddy line.
describe it as a straight guy date and talk about finding women in the city of sin. Again, this takes on a bit more of a sinister undertone in retrospect. Following the success of Forgetting Sarah Marshall, his much beloved character of Alder Snow was brought back for another movie called Get Him to the Greek, co-starring Jonah Hill.
That's the one I remember. I'd seen clips of it. I tried watching it once, I think, but didn't get too far with it because I'm not too keen on Jonah Hill. I think he's cool in 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street and that, but I'm not too keen on him. He's okay in Wolf Wall Street as well, I suppose, but I'm not too keen on him in general. And Russell is an actor, as a comedian, fine on stage maybe a little bit, but as an actor comedian, I didn't really like him as an actor because I don't think he can act that well. He just seems to be himself, a caricature of himself to a certain degree.
And involving many of the same production team. This film did well, although not as well as Forgetting Sarah Marshall, but the set of Get Him to the Greek is where he met his new buddy P. Diddy and his future wife Katy Perry. Russell was now pretty typecast as a larger-than-life, lovable
no doubt
playboy rogue, a type that had served him well up until this point, a type that had made him a Hollywood star. His stardom was only cemented further when he married pop star Katy Perry in a Hindu ceremony. The pair were a showbiz
got married in a Hindu ceremony. I mean, that's entirely up to them. But why a Hindu ceremony when you are not necessarily just Hindu? You are everything, all of the above, or whatever. You know, I don't get it. But maybe back then he was just Hindu. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Power couple, so movie roles came pouring in for Russell. Shakespeare, Despicable Me, The Simpsons, nothing was off limits for this kaleidoscope of wit, rebellion and intellect. His rock star persona did start to spill over into real life when he was arrested on suspected battery charges after he allegedly attacked a
Suspected battery charges? What, he went and bought some Duracell? Some Energizers? What? What's so evil about that? What's so wrong about buying batteries? I'm only joking, guys. I'm only joking. But, you know, it seems that at some point, every single celebrity gets done with the same thing. So are they true? I don't know. Are they there to I don't know, get attention to them? I don't know. Are they just purely made up? Don't know. I mean, I would say obviously there's truth to some of them, but not every one of them. So about this one, not a clue. Not a clue. Could be either of the above.
Reporter who was blocking him and his wife on their way to the airport, but he was released the next day. Around this time, he also attended one of P. Diddy's infamous white parties. Russell claims that he spent most of his time speaking to fellow comedian Tom Green and left the party early as he was married.
We're here at the white party. P. Diddy's right up there.
Diddy's over there.
Ashton Kutcher is right up there.
Over there.
Unbelievable.
Marilyn Monroe just there. She's got something going up her frock.
This video was posted to his YouTube channel and is still on there, so it's no big secret. Things were going well for Russell. He was getting invited to all of the sordid Hollywood parties, and in 2011 he was
well said, interesting things, interesting stuff from around the world. He was getting involved in all sorts of sordid Hollywood parties because it's exactly what they are. It's sordid, perverted, and cultish, demonic, and abominable. All of the above.
asked to host Saturday Night Live. He appeared as the Easter Bunny in the animated movie Hop, and he was a fixture on American chat shows flirting with the female hosts, but sadly things would start to take a downwards turn when he divorced
While dressing really effeminate. Obviously there was always rumours about him, but you know, some men just like to be different, I suppose.
Katy Perry. To let his wife know that they were getting divorced, he sent her a text message just before she was due to appear on stage at a live show, with the moment being captured on a documentary the pop star was filming.
So I thought the chanting I thought I had in the background there, it sounded like from Rocky 1 or Rocky 2. Rocky, Rocky, Rocky. Listen. They're obviously shouting something to do with Katie, though. but it sounded like Rocky.
pair reportedly didn't sign a prenuptial agreement, so Brand was eligible for half of the $44 million that Katie had earned while they were married. But Russell
44 million. Wow. 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 I wouldn't even know how to spend 44 million.
declined this. The reflection of the Hollywood sign in his eyes was now starting to fade, and this was marked by a movie named Arthur, which he starred in but was a box office flop. Brand would later state that his choice to do this
Never heard of it. Never heard of it. That's how much of a flop it was.
movie was a mistake. The credits had now started to roll on his time as a movie star, but as is the case with Russell Brand, he would soon reinvent himself, so the spotlight and fame that he craved never fully went away.
Rebrand. I like what he did there. Rebrand. Right, this must be on his way over to the internet then.
He hosted the MTV Movie Awards, but this wasn't his finest performance, with his heart seemingly not being in it, and he was criticised for making unfunny jokes. The once natural boundary-pushing comedy was now feeling forced and stagnant, so he was getting booked less and less.
Well, it would. I mean, they'd had, what, 10 years of him doing the same kind of, look at my dinkle type thing, acting all caricature of himself, a hyper version of himself. People are going to get stagnated. No, the act is going to be stagnant. You know what I mean? And people are not going to enjoy it as much because they're going with the times. You know what I mean? There'll be a certain people that will still like that comedy, but the ones that you're appealing to going throughout time, they kind of fall away, got bored with it, and new ones won't understand it because they'll be used to something else. So you've got to change with it. You can't stay the same. I mean, your person, obviously, persons stay the same, whatever. But your career, if you're in comedy or something like that, then you can't just stay like that in the middle all the time. You got to change with it.
Starred in the movie Rock of Ages, which again bombed at the box office, so he started to transform himself into a political activist, which felt like a logical transition as he had always mixed his worldviews with his comedy. He was now a man on a mission.
Which is true. It is kind of a logical progression to it, I suppose. But whether it's true and real, I don't know.
To change the world, remake it into his own shaggy-haired image, and he started out by speaking to a committee at Parliament while dressed like a homeless cowboy from a future dystopian saloon. He was trying to convince them to decriminalise drugs. They didn't listen. Russell had this to say.
Let me just go back there. Right, you can see it around his neck there, right? Why don't you play a second?
Homeless cowboy from a future dystopian saloon. He was trying to convince them to
Look at it. The amount of crosses he's got around his neck, and he's got other things as well from other religions there. But why? Why would you do that? I mean, it says, God says, make no engraved images for yourself. I mean, one cross, I mean, I'm okay with it. But it does say make no engraved images for yourself. But all of that, as well as other religious things there, it makes no sense. And to go to a place like that and to try and be an advocate for drugs, decriminalizing it or legalizing it, whatever, and to going like that and not more formal, you know, you're not being a good advocate, I suppose. I mean, it's hard enough job as it is trying to legalize drugs, I suppose. I suppose you would have to be, like I said, suppose 3 times that. You'd have to be a better advocate.
Decriminalise drugs. They didn't listen. Russell had this
decriminalise, not to legalise.
To say about his day in Parliament. The whole joint is a deeply encoded temple of hegemonic power. He then aired a documentary on the BBC titled From Addiction to Recovery, which again was aimed at trying to decriminalise drugs. He is quoted to say that he felt compelled to make this due to the death of his...
That's what I'm saying. You try to be an advocate for drugs when people know you've been addicted to heroin and come off of it, then why would it be... Why would you be a good advocate for someone to decriminalise drugs, especially being an addict? I know it gives you experience with drugs, but addiction is not a good thing. So why would you being an advocate for drugs be a good thing? I don't think it would have worked either way.
friend Amy Winehouse. Russell had become a Buddhist and was selected by the Dalai Lama to
Oh.
host a Buddhist leader.
So he'd become a Buddhist. But even becoming a Buddhist, he still believed in all these other religions or parts of these other religions. It can't work hand in hand with Buddhism, surely.
His youth event, as he had proven the power of spirituality to effect change in his own life. Then in the same year, to prove what a centered pacifist he was, he allegedly threw a reporter's phone out of the window, so an arrest warrant was issued.
Oh, excellent advocate for being a pacifist or representative of being a pacifist. Brilliant. Grab somebody's phone, chuck it out the window. Smash it, why don't you? That really looks good, but Russell, boy.
For him. Russell claims that he took the iPhone and threw it out of the window as a tribute to Steve Jobs, who had recently passed away. His Hollywood career may have been fading, but his stand-up...
Wow. He jumped it out the window as a tribute to Steve Jobs, who recently passed away. Wow. What a way to make a punchline out of your wrongdoing. To get a comedy reaction out of your wrongdoing. Wow. Well, at least you can say it's useful for something.
Comedy was still going strong, and his tour called Messiah Complex was a big hit, getting rave reviews worldwide. This tour would lead to one of his more
Messiah Complex, no doubt.
Well-known moments when he appeared on a talk show called Morning Joe and flirted with one of the female presenters.
What am I saying? What am I talking about? Don't think about what I'm wearing. These things are redundant,
I'm distracted.
superficial.
Okay.
Don't be distracted. What do you think that gesture means, the way you're touching that bottle? What does that indicate? What is that? What's the subtext of that?
See what I mean? That is so cringe. He's trying to say that he's implying some kind of sexual innuendo just because her hand is on the bottle. I mean, she wasn't moving or anything. She was resting her hand on the bottle, and he's trying to say that she's implying some kind of sexual innuendo. That's his way of flirting. That's your idiosyncrasy, not ours.
We gotta go to break.
You need to lose that ring, Mika, because it don't mean nothing to you.
Wow.
She's grasping for...
Wow, and her husband could be watching that. I mean, that's bad.
A shaft. She's a shaft grasper.
This was a fairly viral clip on the internet, and the female presenter of Morning Joe would get a lot of pushback about this interview from people online, as she was unaware who Russell Brand was before doing the interview.
I mean, it could be funny in certain circumstances, but not when she's married and a man could be watching that. In different circumstances, on stage, in a comedy, stand-up, whatever, yes, that'd be funny, but not in there, not there.
Back in Britain, he was still on a political mission, writing many articles and showing up on many TV shows to talk about the need of people not to vote as the system is rigged against normal people. This was most well known from another fairly viral moment that he had in an interview with Jeremy Paxman on the BBC. Paxman challenged this idea of not voting and claimed that someone who has never voted shouldn't be the editor of a political magazine. Russell had edited an issue of the left-wing magazine.
Well, I don't think it makes a difference whether you vote or not. I don't think anybody's elected. I think they're selected. I've never voted, never will. I don't blame them not for voting. But then to be political, I don't see the point.
The New Statesman, in which the theme was revolution. So Paxman asked Brand what his revolution would look like, to which Brand replied, "A socialist egalitarian system based on the massive redistribution of wealth, with heavy taxation of corporations. I think the very concept of profit should be hugely reduced. I say profit is a filthy word, because wherever there is profit, there is also a deficit." In the same year, he won the Oracle.
Silly thing to say. I mean, you've got to make a profit of some sort to make money to help feed your family. You can't just be same. That's silly. But yes, I don't want everybody to be, I don't want the rich to get richer and the poor to get poorer. Of course not. That's not the point. I mean, my point about not getting rich is a spiritual one anyway. So I'll never be rich when it comes to material stuff. Absolutely not.
award at the GQ Awards, but was kicked out due to him mentioning that the sponsor of the event was Hugo Boss, who made uniforms for the Gestapo. He then goose-stepped across the stage while giving his acceptance speech. Russell Brand had now successfully reinvented himself as a left
See, look, in some cases that could be funny, but you've got to watch where you're at and who you're with.
wing political activist, joining the anonymous Million Mask March. He was really attending protests all over the place at this stage and started to pontificate on his new YouTube series called The Trues, which is a mix of
If he's pontificating, then he's just as religious as the next man. He's pushing his coat.
word true and news. Very clever.
The Crew.
Hello, welcome to Trues on the Move. I'm your host.
Trues. I thought there was a blooming C then. Trues. Never seen this. Was this his YouTube thing? If it is, then it must have been what his content initially was like, because it's not like that now. Okay, I don't know.
The Trues, Russell Brand.
This was reasonably successful for him and was a precursor.
Oh, it is YouTube. Okay. Because his YouTube is not like that now. It's more like what you see there, where I'm sitting in front of a curtain and that.
For his later more well-known YouTube show. On The Trues, he talked about the issues of the day from a left-wing perspective. At this stage, he was the darling.
The views he got there, like 4 years ago, 1.4 million, 2 point something. I get 100, 200.
of the left, having documentaries made about him, doing.
Who am I to review Russell Brand? Who am I? I'm a 620 people sub channel. Who am I to review Russell Brand?
Talks for The Guardian with Owen Jones, and he was voted the 4th most influential thinker in the world by readers of Prospect magazine. But there was a darker side that was being conveniently overlooked. As the same year that all of this was going on, his ex-girlfriend Jordan Martin claimed in her book that she was indecently and physically abused by him. But this news just passed by without anyone really noticing. But some people were
See, whether things like that are true or not, don't know. If nothing ever got done about it, nothing was ever proven, we never know. I mean, these things could happen, absolutely. Are they true? Couldn't tell you.
Starting to notice some strange things about Russell Brand. In the dark recesses of the internet, the conspiracy-minded were talking about Russell Brand being a member of the Freemasons, or linked to satanic.
Well, wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't surprise me. He tends to take bits and pieces from every religion like that. Cherry pick bits and pieces everywhere. And it's kind of what Coexist is doing, to do a one world religion, one world government type thing. NWO, NWR. You know what I mean? Coexist to make a one world religion. The great apostasy. Get everybody to fall from the faith with Christ. Follow that. No, thank you. No, thank you. Not for me. So it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me with people like this, because they certainly push it as well as gatekeep it to a certain extent. Gatekeep other things while pushing that, but saying they're not that when they evidently are. Don't know about Russell Brand. I'm not making any positive claims about him, but it wouldn't surprise me, is what I'm saying.
Cults in some way. A lot of this came from his many tattoos, most notably the number 33 that was on his wrist. They claimed that this was to symbolise the 33 degrees of Freemasonry.
Well, yes, if he's got 33 on there, it's not because it's Jesus' age when he died. No, it's Freemasonry. Why else has he got it?
This was a big topic of conversation in some corners of the internet, with some people defending Brand, saying that the tattoo was a tribute to his late friend, while others said that he was rubbing the Masonic message in the faces of.
It may be that also, but they put it out there and make sure it's seen. Of course, it's Masonic. I didn't know he had that there. I really didn't. It's Masonic.
His viewers. Another of his tattoos is what people called the Pied Piper, and claimed that he was purposely leading people down the path of hedonism and degeneracy. This tattoo.
bit symbolic. I mean, I'm not one for like, yeah, that's a symbol, that's a symbol. Yes, there's definitely symbols out there. We see them. But come on. Tattoos working in correlation with each other. Come on. It's a bit symbolic. It's a bit in your face, really, if that's what it's saying. I didn't know he had these tattoos. I've never really looked at his tattoos. I knew he had them. Just didn't know what they were.
He looks more like some kind of Hindu deity to me, but this theory wasn't
It
helped when
does.
Russell Brand released a child's book with him playing the Pied Piper. Him being a Freemason is a claim that has been brought to his attention.
The Lord Jesus is the truth. And that's from Russell Brand 666. He's deaf and he's got his tongue sticking out. Look. This people can make hand gestures by mistake. Yes, they can. Of course they can. But if these things come in clusters, it's evident. I mean, look, he's not doing that for no reason. He knows exactly what he's doing. If this is the things he's doing, then of course we know where he's coming from. Of course, he's a Freemason. Of course, he's satanic, Luciferian. Simple.
A few times with him making it clear that he is not a Freemason, which is just what a Freemason would say.
ITM 72, Mr. Brand. Firstly, explain aggressive. Firstly, explain the number 33 tattooed on your inner wrist. You're a smart man and must know its colossal importance to Freemasonry. Well, it's not Freemasonry actually. You can't be a Freemason, I don't think, if you've got a criminal record. What to me it means, mate,
You can't be a Freemason, you've got a criminal record. Like they won't overlook that. Don't be silly. Well, my uncle was a Freemason and he had a criminal record. Yes, he was low level. Don't come that bollocks.
Jesus died, and love a bit of
I knew
Jesus.
it. I knew he'd say it was when Jesus died. And then it's in tribute to his friend as well. I knew he'd say that, no doubt. I thought it was because I did mention that before this. I kind of thought he was going to say that.
It's as simple as that.
Russell had now been preaching his message of revolution by not voting for quite some time, but in 2015, 8 days before the British general election, he uploaded an interview with the Labour leader Ed Miliband to his True show, then stated, "I think we have no choice but to take decisive action to end the danger of the Conservative Party." He was now urging his viewers to vote for Labour, but Brand himself was not registered to vote, and Labour lost. This U-turn would lose him a lot of respect from his fans, as this was not the revolution that they were promised. But Russell was unfazed by this and continued his activism, speaking at an anti-racist counter-protest in Newcastle alongside George Galloway, aimed at an anti-Islam protest that was marching in the city to bring attention to the grooming gang scandal. Away from politics, the embers of his Hollywood career were still smouldering, and he voiced a character in the animated film Trolls, plus appeared in a film that sounds pretty interesting, to be honest.
I said that earlier, didn't I? He was one of the original trolls, like Dennis the Penis and that, and then he goes in, voices a character in a thing called Trolls. Wow. He's an original troll.
This film was called Army of One, and it is based on a true story where Russell plays God and Nicolas Cage plays a man that travels to
Russell plays God. Wow. Messiah complex much?
the Middle East to find Osama bin Laden armed with a samurai sword because God told him to. Russell had long been talking about spirituality, but now he was moving away from politics to focus more on this side of his content, offering his viewers self-help advice and rebranding himself yet again as some kind of humble guru, an enlightened being helping to guide the lost souls to a more noble path. Unbeknownst to Russell, in 2019, the Sunday Times newspaper began
No comment.
inquiries into allegations against Russell Brand, and this investigation would come to turn his life upside down. The man who had spent over a decade preaching redemption was about to face a reckoning of his own.
Butterfly.
2020 was a memorable year for everyone, and Russell Brand was no different. He started off this year the same as he left 2019.
Oh, there you go. That says it. That says it. Joe Rogan is with Joe Rogan now. Yeah. Another gatekeeper. Yes, they put some truth out there. but they gatekeep a lot. Absolutely. Can they be funny? Yeah, absolutely. Gatekeepers? Absolutely. Put out truth? Absolutely. Gatekeep truth? Absolutely.
talking about self-help and promoting his free online self-help course.
Thinking of which, this guy as well, I noticed interesting stuff from around the world. I noticed that he does some, he did something on, is it Owen Benjamin 6 months ago? But it's an hour and two. I was going to say I could do that, react to that one day, but that's it's a big one to react to. This one's 40 odd minutes, and I'm already an hour and 20, hour and 15 in. I'm not done yet with like 10 odd minutes left. But yeah, well, I might have a look at that one day, see what it's saying about Owen Benjamin. Since he's an alleged flat earther, huh?
He was still doing some political activism, but this had taken a back seat for the most part, as most people still had the discordant note of his voting U-turn ringing in their ears, which had eroded what little credibility he had clawed from the cultural swamp. Then the COVID pandemic hit and he would transform again into a scruffy butterfly lapping at the nectar of controversy. At the start of the COVID years, the battle lines had not yet been drawn, so Russell approached his
I'll bet he picked up during the COVID years as well, because everybody was in watching content, stuff like that. I bet people were listening to him more and thinking, oh, this guy could be right, you know. Says some good stuff. Does some bad stuff as well, though.
criticisms from the same left-wing framework that had worked for him so well in the past, speaking out against the intentions of the powerful to use this as an excuse to gain more power.
Black Friday, that annual festival of consuming, but during a global pandemic when all of us are asking questions about society and the way that we relate to one another, ought we be trying to sustain these kind of crazy ideas? The answer is yes. The pandemic has taken surveillance of workers to the next level. We are being...
Go zap that forward a bit. I don't want to be talking about that. Just in case.
Safety measures and medications surrounding COVID, but the videos that were
keep going forward a little bit more.
Among these people were the WEF. Russell would mostly read news articles, then connect the information to an overarching narrative involving people like Bill Gates and the company BlackRock. Russell Brand was now a truth seeker, following the evidence wherever it took him, and in a strange coincidence, this evidence mostly took him to lots and lots of views on YouTube.
Oh, see that. Let's say that Russell Brand using Rumble or someone else doing something on Russell using Rumble. Didn't know that. I didn't know Rumble been going about that long. I mean, I've only been using Rumble about a year now. Don't know how old the platform is, to be honest.
Each upload was a Molotov cocktail thrown at the Cathedral of Orthodoxy, and the views poured in like petrol on a bonfire. His view count was also helped by the fact that his videos were both
views poured in like petrol on a bonfire.
Informative and entertaining due to his comedic presentation talking about yet more social taboos. Russell was now firmly on the right wing, mixing with people like Jordan Peterson and Tucker Carlson, so his old left-wing friends started to distance themselves from him.
Oh, isn't that strange, yeah? Going from being wokey to right wing, but then I heard a few names there that, okay, let's not say anything.
Once ally at the New Statesman's magazine is quoted to say that he has now melded his trad socialist values with all the suspicions and anxieties of the new American right. The more views that Russell got, the more he craved, and his videos got more and more clickbaity. His shocked face on the thumbnail, with a title exclaiming that you won't believe what just happened or that this changes everything. A lot of the people that once called him a Freemason were now
New live tickets at Russell Brand. It's called 33. Come on, Russell. Don't try and make everyone sound as though they're being foolish when you know. Come on, that's what they do. You're famous. Simple.
Now fully on board with his message and ready to defend him from any of the slander of the mainstream media, but not all of them had given up the idea that he was a Freemason, and some thought that he was brought in to discredit the movement.
Now, for example, someone having a 33 tattoo on their arm, like what's the benefit of that if you are actually a part of a sort of a secret cartel control?
It's just something you have to do. go about showing it. No, you don't have to get it tattooed, but as long as you show these things, like it's a mistake, or like your arm waves across the camera and it pauses for a second, like it's some kind of mistake. Yes, these people are required to do these things to show allegiance, I suppose, and to show who they are in plain sight, but hidden, because they will completely deny it. And what is he doing now? He's trying to dissuade you off it while showing you it. Contradictory, but that's what they're doing.
Controlling reality. Do you have to mask that fact? And oh yeah, but yeah, you would do that. Oh, so it's that many layers of double bluff. I mean, like for me, that's like why. And all of a sudden, what are we talking about now? We're not talking about how do you get people to band together to challenge authority. That's the only thing worth talking about. Pointing out corruption, inviting people to go within themselves, to awaken themselves, to confront authority. All the other stuff is just
look. The devil will corrupt at all angles. It will confuse from all angles, make people look like they should be together when they're actually not, or people who are actually together are working together and make them look like they're not. You know, confusion all around. The devil will try and confuse from all different angles and through all different avenues. So, look, it doesn't surprise me, any of it. And it doesn't surprise me I'm trying to defend it at the same time as showing it.
Just like flim flam.
That's what they do.
In my view. Anyway, so that tattoo is because I love the Lord Jesus Christ, and it's a sort of a lucky number.
No, it's not. See, I thought it was to do with your friend. No, it's because you love the Lord Jesus Christ. No, it's not. How can you love the Lord Jesus Christ when the other things you do is contradictory to the love of Christ?
Basically, because I thought I was going to die when I was 32, then I obviously didn't, as you can see. And so now
you love Christ, but you don't preach being a follower of the way. That is antichrist, antichrist spirit. You don't claim to be a Christian. You don't confess Christ as your Lord, that you believe he died and rose again the third day. You don't make him your savior, your God. So it's not because you love Christ at all. Don't give me that bull. I know you're not giving it to me, you're giving it to everyone, but you know the score, Russell.
I love the number 33, and when I see it, I feel like I'm on the right path.
In 2022, Russell had one of his videos removed from YouTube due to medical misinformation. So he moved a lot of his content over to Rumble and launched a daily show on this platform called...
So Rumble's been going about since 22 anyway. Wow. I didn't know that. So that's okay. So it was him in Rumble.
Would Stay Free, but his popularity on YouTube just kept growing and growing, and he reached over 6.5 million subscribers, each click being a middle finger to the system, the viewer's way of fighting back. Apart from a bit of censorship, things were going great for Mr. Brand. He had successfully transformed himself yet again, a brand new cultural icon for a brand new set.
Transformed himself while being exactly the same, still Luciferian, just seemingly going against the grain rather than went with it, seemingly. But before you were going against the grain as well, but from a different group, you know? So it's just like same but different, different but the same, contradiction. He knows the score. He knows what he's doing.
Of people, but things would start to fall apart for him in 2023 when a Channel 4 documentary was aired.
In plain sight. I said it. In plain sight. In plain sight. Wow.
Giving details of indecent and emotional abuse alleged by 4 anonymous women between 2006 and 2013. One of these women was just 16 years old at the time and Brand was 31. The reports also noted that he allegedly exposed himself to crew members while working on Channel 4's Big Brother's Big Mouth and allegedly urinated in a bottle in full view of everyone while working at the BBC. As we are on YouTube, I won't go into the details of...
See, he probably thought something like that was edgy, being in a ball. But yeah, come on, that's by the by. I mean, shouldn't have done it, but whatever. but not in front of people, especially the kind of people who'd have that. I mean, if there was, I don't know, women, children, that, don't do that in front of people. Go to the bloody toilet. I'm sure the BBC had toilets, but people do these things.
The main allegations, but they are pretty harrowing. Brand denied these claims and is quoted to say that the relationships were always consensual. A lot of his right-wing friends rallied around him, but he was forced to postpone an upcoming tour and his agent dropped him and released a statement that
I noticed that he's even got Jesus on his arm on a on a cross, though, kind of looking down the way. It's very Catholic. I mean, no, he's not a Catholic, but he's got 33 there as well. Come on, bro.
in part read, Russell Brand categorically and vehemently denied the allegations made in 2020, but we now believe that we were horribly misled by him. I'm not too sure what allegations from 2020 he's talking about in this, but maybe there was something from the Sunday Times investigation that I'm missing. YouTube then demonetised his channel under pressure from the British government and presumably advertisers, but his new home of Rumble resisted any attempts to get him removed from their platform. The BBC removed some material featuring him from their archives. He was dropped by charities that he was helping, and the police began an investigation, with other women coming forward with alleged incidents dating back to 2000.
Wow. Seeing what he was dressed up there as also that. Seeing what he was dressed up as also there. Makes no sense, PJ. See what he was dressed up there. That's what I meant to say.
2003. Russell was then brought in for questioning by the police but then later released. This was a big win for the people that didn't like him, and they could taste blood in the water, so more and more stories about his alleged past transgressions started to be shared.
This is a well-known open secret from the comedy circuit.
Right.
Something that's been talked about, certainly to my knowledge, for at least the last 5 years. It's something that's been pretty openly discussed in the comedy industry. I think I remember first hearing about it kind of in mid 2017. Deadline ran a story about an incident that happened on a TV show called Roast Battle, where jokes were made referencing Brand being an abuser, and they were removed from the broadcast. That obviously happened on a studio floor. So from that point onwards, it was common knowledge within comedy that there were several allegations about Russell Brand, and specifically relating.
I mean, look, I don't know if the allegations are true at all, but it wouldn't surprise me again because, look, people do those kind of things. Also, stars do those kind of things. But do they also get accused because they are stars? Yes, of course. So I can't make any positive claims on anything like that.
Assault. So from that point onwards, it was well known. It was discussed by multiple comedians in Edinburgh Fringe shows the following year in 2018. Like it was that well known. To be completely honest with you, the story that I had heard was relating to assault. It was not covered in the documentary. It was a very specific and serious allegation. I was not aware simply because increased
proof to many of his followers that the deep state were desperate to silence this truth teller and had now revealed itself from the shadows, something that Russell was happy to lean into and talk about on his show. He had long been a man of spirituality, but this was more an appreciation of world religions, one of which was Christianity. Then all of a sudden it turns out the God we thought was dying was just sharpening his blade, and Russell was now a full Christian, being baptised in the River Thames alongside the television.
Do I believe that? I really don't. I really don't. If he became a Christian and he got baptized, fantastic. Hallelujah. But I don't see any fruits for it. I don't see any evidence for it. So I don't, to this point, yeah, I mean, it's not for me to decide. But my opinion, no. Not from what I see so far, no. Bear Grylls, I knew he was an alleged Christian. Whether he is or not, I don't know. I mean, I don't see him doing anything wrong. His survival programs were a bit misleading, as though like he was actually out there on his own and stuff like that when he had crews with them and stayed in hotels and stuff and all that. So do I trust him? I don't know. Do I know he's a Christian? I heard he was a Christian. Is he actually? I don't know. So I wouldn't tend to trust this, him saying he's full conversion to Christianity. I wouldn't trust it. Same as I wouldn't trust Kanye West being a bloody Christian.
Survival expert Bear Grylls.
I could be wrong though. I doubt it.
In 2024, he promoted a magic amulet that he claimed protected against corruption by evil energies and the lethal signals of Wi-Fi. Plus, he performed a comedy set at the campaign event for the then presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy, for which he was reportedly paid $70,000. The allegations against him were just getting worse and worse, and in 2025 he was sued by 2 women for allegedly indecently assaulting them. Then on the 4th of April 2025, he was charged by the Metropolitan Police with 5 counts. Then after this, 3 more women came forward to the police with allegations against him. Brand's content was now very Christian-centric and pointed.
Do stars get accused a lot? Falsely, yes. But that amount of times, well, it's a bit dodgy then, I think. But I still couldn't make any positive claims on it. But again, it wouldn't surprise me. Can I say for sure that he did? No, I can't. But it wouldn't surprise me.
Pointing out the hypocrisy of the British government, not investigating the grooming gang scandal but finding time to investigate him all these years later. Russell Brand's case is still ongoing, but he seems pretty confident that he will be found innocent and claims to be grateful that he will be given the chance to defend himself against these charges.
Oh, well, this is only 5 hours old, so it's ongoing to this point. Right, okay.
In court.
I've always told you guys that when I was young and single, before I had my wife and family, who were just about a shot over there, my beautiful children, I was a fool, man. I was a fool before I lived in the light of the Lord. I was a drug addict, and an...
I'm sorry, it just sounds so cringy. He sounds so acty when he says it. Sounds like he's acting, but it sounds like he's falsely trying to sound like a soft Christian. Before I found the light of the Lord, the love of the Lord, it doesn't sound. Look, people who become Christians, yes, they have to change, but their personality, their bubbliness, their attitude doesn't change just like that. Sometimes bits of attitude need to be changed, but your full personality doesn't change. You don't sound different. But to be talking like that, it sounds so false to me. I'm sorry. I mean, I might be wrong. He might be a Christian. I doubt it. But it sounds really false to me, the way he's talking. Sorry, and that was just that's me judging after a few words, but that's my feeling on it. That's my conviction on it.
But what I never was I've never engaged in non-consensual activity. I pray that you can see that by looking in my eyes. And of course, I'm now going to have the opportunity to defend these charges in court, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. In the meantime, you lot, stay free, and we will be continuing to discuss this matter. Praise the Lord.
Absolutely praise the Lord, but I don't believe he means it. I really don't. If he is praising the Lord, he's praising a different Lord, not the actual Lord. But that's my thoughts on it. Okay. Epilogue. Let's do it. Right. It's an hour and a half long, this video already. We're on the last 3-minute stretch, so I'll get it done and get it out of the video. This has been my longest bloody video yet. Sorry that I haven't been speaking very well through it. Like, I've been stuttering over my words and stuff like that. A little bit tired. And then I noticed I was stuttering over my words a bit, so I sounded a bit goopy, like gumpy in some places. So sorry about that, because I'm not even going to be able to edit this because it's so long. So sorry I sound a bit gumpy in some places, guys.
The Russell Brand story is a rollercoaster ride of chaotic energy and convenience. It's very convenient that a left-wing media company like Channel 4 released a documentary about Russell Brand only once he had stepped off the reservation, even though he had worked for them for many years. And it's very convenient that
Very convenient.
Russell Brand sought refuge in the church once the world had turned against him. The media in Britain loved his promiscuous
yeah, it does seem convenient, but people can't turn to the Lord. I don't believe he is, actually. I can't say for sure he hasn't, but I don't think he has. But people can't turn to the Lord after these things. I mean, of course, God accepts everybody or anybody. But yeah, I don't think he has.
hedonistic persona, and even when he went to America they celebrated this aspect of him. So it's not hard to see why his followers may now suspect that the only reason he is in these troubles is because he spoke out about something that he should have kept his mouth shut about. I obviously don't know the true motivations for anyone involved. Maybe Channel 4 would have still made the documentary even if Russell was still a left-wing activist, and maybe Russell would have become a Christian even if none of this ever happened, but I kind of have my doubts about both. To me this story...
I agree with them. I have my doubts completely about both. I'm not going to make positive claims on them, but I have my doubts that I know where I sway towards, and I have my doubts completely. I agree with interesting stuff from around the world. Again, love his channel, love his stuff he comes out with. The last one he did was 2 weeks ago. Before this one was the strange decay of Reverend X, but I've already done a live on that, so I didn't want to do that one, so I thought I'd do the Russell one, sort of thing. So we're just coming to the end of it, and I'll get it put out as a premiere, guys.
Clearly illustrates one of the many problems with democracy. It divides people into opposing groups whose only real drive is to win and gain power at any cost, no matter how morally bankrupt it makes them or who they have to side with. In the game of votes, taking home the trophy is all that matters in the end. There's a lot of information about Russell Brand on the internet, most of which I have cut out of this video for the sake of time, but he has done a lot of charity work over the years, most of which hasn't been publicised. So
Yeah, charity work usually... Is it really charitable when everybody knows that you've done it? You know what I mean? Usually charity don't get the full amount. It usually goes to other people and stuff like that, greedy people, con artists. But if it's charitable, it shouldn't really be known about. It's usually between you and that person and God. So is it real charity or is it pride? Or is it for to be recognised or seen? Virtue signaling, so to speak.
this leads me to believe that in his own way he is trying to make the world a better place, but of course I'll wait to see what comes from the trial before I make any judgment on what kind of man he is as a whole. I'm very interested in language, as words are like a magic spell cast on our brains and dictate how we view reality in all kinds of ways. A word that I kept coming across while researching this video was misinformation. Over and over again I would see this word and wonder what is really being said by the people using it. The definition of misinformation is false or inaccurate information, especially that which is deliberately intended to deceive. We already have a word for this, which is lie. The word lie has been around for a very long time.
That's it. Lies. Misinformation is exactly that. Lies. So, you hear me, misinformation agent? You're a lies agent. Misinformation agent is a lies agent. You suit your name, brother. You suit your name.
With no problems. So why is this new, more complicated word being used? I'm not fully sure, but to call someone a liar is a direct accusation, something to which they can defend themselves. But to say someone is spreading misinformation is more wishy-washy. The person using this term is just making an observation, and therefore doesn't leave room for a proper defence. That's the best that I could come up for as to why this new word is being used. These disingenuous linguistic tricks seem to be more and more common, and I just thought it was an interesting side note while looking into this story really. Russell Brand is the king of misinformation, and this has earned him over 1 billion views on YouTube and an army of loyal fans, but at what cost? He is currently staring down the barrel of a very long time in prison if found guilty, so let's hope that true justice
Not good.
is served one way or the other.
I suppose my life has been defined by addiction, and addiction is in part a lack of connection, an attempt to synthesize.
Well, I have been an addict most of my life. Most of it. From 15 to, I'm 48 now, to 42. On and off. I've had years here and there off of it and that. But I've been an addict all that time, on and off that time. It's a long time. And being an addict doesn't define me, who I am. It defined me back then because that's who I was and what I lived for, and what I had to live for. That defined me then. I am no longer that, so it doesn't define me anymore. If other people try and define me that way, that's their perception of me. That's not my actual me. That's how they perceive me. That's not God's perception of me. That's their perception of me. So me being an addict does not, an ex-addict does not define me. So I disagree.
The connection to self, other, and God. God, of your own understanding, perhaps understood as a totality.
Sorry, that must have been when they doing the 12 steps or whatever. God of your own understanding. No, there's only one God. Any other God's a false God. Therefore, an idol. Therefore, false.
A sense of unity, a unitive force, a highest principle. When it says in the Old Testament, worship no other gods than me, the implication I offer is that we are a species that worships, and if you do not access the divine, you will worship the mundial, you will worship the profane, you will worship your own identity, you will worship your belongings, you will worship the template laid before you by a culture that wants you. No.
And or other idols. And or other idols, and I still see Russel Brand as that. I don't think he's a Christian, but that's my opinion.
Wants you, but gets you distracted and relatively dumb.
Watch this video about the man, the myth, the legend.
There it is. There it is, guys. There it is. Fair play, fair play, fair play. That be done. That be done. So, yeah. Oh, I need to get rid of that one first. Add that one to the stage. So yeah, that's the guy's channel again. Interesting stuff from around the world. Where is it? I seen that. There's the Owen Benjamin one, but it's an hour and too long, so I didn't want to do that one tonight because this one's already long enough. An hour and 40. So yeah, that's it there. I'll put the link in the description, guys. Thanks for watching. I will get this out as quick as possible. Sorry for the stuttering of the over my words. I'm a bit tired, mouth's a bit dry, stuff like that. So sorry about that, guys. But sorry I didn't have anything more interesting. But there you go. There you go. At least it's a video. Bless you guys. I'll get it out as quick as I can. Here the sun sets free. It's free. Indeed. Ta-da.